So a lot of people might be warning you not to cut your tree as it might slow down growth. On the contrary, it'll actually improve the growth and give you more fruits. Welcome to GardenLogicTV, where we grow smarter every day. Today I'm going to show you how to prune different fruit trees in order to get more fruit, redirect energy and nutrients, and get rid of disease. The reason why you should prune your mulberry trees is because it helps with the fruiting, because the fruits actually grow where the new branches start. It actually grows at the base of the new branch. So right now, instead of putting the energy into creating new branches, it's just putting all the energy into making the branches longer and strengthening the branches. So I want to redirect the energy and nutrients into creating new branches so that the fruit comes with those new branches. So the trick here is you want to leave about 3 nodes on the youngest branches here. So I have one, you can count from the leaves where the nodes are. So 1, 2, 3. And then you would make your cut just below the 4th node here, just like that. So these younger branches are still good at creating new branches with the fruit, whereas these older branches, it's just structure at this point. It carries nutrients and water, but it's not good at branching out anymore. So it's important to keep at least 3 or 4 nodes on the youngest branches so that it can branch out with the fruits. So what I did is I cut just beneath that 4th node. So I have this much space from the cut until the next node. And the reason why you want to do that is because anytime you make a cut, the branch will rot back a little bit. It's called dieback. It'll rot back a little bit, and if there's any nodes here, it'll kill that node. So by cutting it just behind the 4th node, you have enough space for the dieback without reaching this node here. One more. So if you've never pruned a tree like this before, it can feel like you cut too much off. But this is exactly what actually encourages mulberries to grow more fruit, because it grows on the new branches. So by cutting everything here, instead of putting the energy and nutrients into just making the branches longer and strengthening it, it's gonna realize that it needs to branch out more, because it can't actually grow here anymore. Once you cut it, it's going to redirect the energy and nutrients into other stuff. So what's going to happen, it's going to store a lot of energy and nutrients, and it's just going to have an explosion of new growth with fruits on the new growth. The fruits will actually, let's speak hypothetically. Let's say a new branch grows from here. The fruit will actually grow on the first few nodes or so with the new branch. But past that, it doesn't really grow fruit anymore. So by doing this, you actually maximize fruit, and you're really targeting the nutrients and energy to actually go towards the fruit rather than just having a really tall tree. So after you make all your prunings where you're leaving 3 nodes on the youngest branches, you need to come back and remove all the rot here. So this rot is what I was talking about earlier, the dieback. From when you make your cut, it rots. It's called a dieback. And you need to remove that because the rot can actually travel all the way down and harm everything on its path. The biggest issue though, the rot here at the top, it's not that big of a deal. But if you have rot down here at the main trunk, it can actually kill the whole tree. So this is where it really matters, is down here. So I actually have a bit of rot down right here. This looks like where a branch was like torn off. You can't really see it there, but there's a lot of rot here. It could actually travel down and harm the whole tree. So what I'm gonna do now is just remove little bits of rot like this from previous prunings. See, it's rotten. I have a lot of rot here. It looks like there was a branch here that had like got pulled and stripped all the way down here. The rot is actually going all the way down here. So I have a couple options. I can actually cut this whole thing down just to really make sure that the rot doesn't travel to the main trunk down here. And I might actually do that. I mean, it's better safe than sorry. I'm gonna cut this whole thing down here. But I still see a little bit of rot down here. So I brought out my machete to try to get this out. You can see the rot is really gone deep. That's just how it is. It spreads like you don't even know. But it's a good thing that we caught it, because if this does go all the way down here, it can actually just kill the whole tree. So I need to try to get this out. I think that's good. No, I also have like right here and here, and there's like here from the dieback. You just like break that off. I'm not too concerned with this because it's so far away from the main trunk here. And like I said, I'm gonna actually end up coppicing this whole thing down for the new growth. It actually prolongs the life of the tree. So I don't really mind, because I know I'm gonna coppice this down. I don't really mind this right here or here. I don't really want to cut it because it loses so much of the tree mass. But this one down here, I had to cut that off. It's too close to the main trunk here. Alright, so I got just about all the rot off of this tree. Again, it doesn't matter too much because I know I'm going to end up coppicing the whole thing down anyway. But this next tree I'm going to show you has a huge rot. And that's my moringa tree. Check out how big this rot is. Now this is a big dieback. Because what I ended up doing is I got this moringa branch from my neighbor and I stuck it in the ground. Now moringa is really cool that it's really hardy and it grows easily from branches like this. So even though this is a very old big branch, it's still recovered. I mean, it's growing good. But it takes a long time for it to get established. And what the plant does, every plant in the world, not just moringa, but every plant in the world, is anytime you propagate a branch, the top will die back like this because it's constantly losing water from the sun and the wind, but it prioritizes the base. It says, okay, if we're gonna lose water, let's at least lose the water from the top and preserve the water at the bottom. So it actually holds on water to the bottom as much as it can for survival reasons, and instead it'll do this dieback. So this is a very big dieback here. So what I need to do is actually remove these branches here. And in the next video, I'm actually going to propagate these, including the mulberry branches I just cut. I'm going to propagate those in the next episode. I'm going to cut these down. I'm going to remove all of this rot. Okay. So I got rid of the branches. Now I need to remove the rot. Looks like it stops about here. I think that got it. I don't see any rot inside. So this is already established, and what's going to happen, same like the mulberry tree I just showed you, is it's going to have all this stored energy and nutrients, and nothing, it can't do anything with it. Eventually it's going to have an explosion of new growth. This is basically coppicing, but on a much smaller level. I might get a few branches And then what I can do is like choose the main ones and grow it upward or design it or whatever I want to do with it. Now all this is edible, so don't waste this away. We're gonna actually eat this. But the next tree I'm gonna show you how to prune grows the largest fruit in the world, and that's the jackfruit tree. So this tree actually requires very little maintenance. You don't need to make cuts in order to support to make new fruit like the mulberry that we just cut. The fruit actually grows on this central trunk. Most of the fruit will grow here on the trunk. And a key design of the jackfruit is it grows this very tall, thick central trunk for structure reasons because it carries very heavy fruit, sometimes 20, 25 kilos. The jackfruit can get very big. It's the biggest fruit in the world. The problem with that very heavy fruit and trying to harvest it is because the tree grows so tall, I can't climb. I'm not a climber. I'm not going to climb this tree and cut the jackfruit. So the only pruning that you really need to do on this jackfruit tree is actually cutting the top of the central trunk just to stop it from growing too tall. And again, the energy and nutrients will be redirected back to the roots, back to the trunk, and to the branches. So don't think, oh, I'm cutting my tree, I'm harming it in some way. The energy and nutrients does get redirected, but this is saving me from having to climb this tree or climb a ladder to harvest it. So I'm gonna cut the top tip. Earlier I said when you cut something, it stops that growth. So by cutting the top tip, it's not gonna grow higher anymore. Try to bend this. I'm gonna cut it right here, the top tip. So here's the tip that I cut, just like that. It can't grow any more up, and it's gonna redirect nutrients. The way how the jackfruit grows, it actually grows in this like kind of V shape. You see that? I mean, you don't have to prune it, right? I mean, everything, it grows really nice. It's a very easy maintenance tree. That is the only cut I'm gonna make on this tree. Now you can see down here, there were some branches that were coming out that I had removed. What happens is when it's a baby, it'll create a couple branches with leaves. That's just to get it established. So these leaves, it puts energy to the roots, sugar to the roots, and allows it to create this thick trunk. But these are like, you know, your baby teeth, right? They fall out. I just removed it because you actually don't need it. This is just little baby branches. So this is my second jackfruit tree. This one's a lot younger. I grew both of these from seed, but these are the little baby branches I was talking about down here. This is just helps it to get established, and then it starts to create these other branches. These are the main branches. So you can actually remove these. You don't really need them anymore. And then these remaining branches will be the actual main branches, like what we have here. The jackfruit trees need very little maintenance and care. You don't really have to prune it. I do prune the top just for easier harvesting in the future. But this next tree I'm going to show you, you have to prune it, you have to maintain it. But it gives you some of the richest potassium rich, vitamin C rich fruits in the world. And that's the guava tree. So as you can see, this is completely different than the jackfruit. These branches are going all over the place. They're touching each other. This guava here, I'm actually having to support it because the branch is leaning over. It's actually going to break it. So it seems on this branch, it decided to put all this energy into making fruit instead of into making a thicker branch. So what I did is I supported it just so it doesn't break this branch. So what I'm going to end up doing is after this is ready for harvest, I'll end up cutting this branch down anyway because it's leaning so far this way. It's not strong enough to support fruit. I have a couple more fruits here. This is well supported, so this is fine. Over here though, I have new fruits forming. You see these flowers? So this is another flush of fruit. I'll let this fruit, and after I harvest it, I'll end up cutting this branch down. is it's actually growing over my calamansi tree. This is a citrus lime tree here. This has actually started to fruit as well. You see little baby fruits here as well. So what happens is if this branch here is already going over top, it's not a big deal now. It will be a big deal later. So I might as well remove it now. For your fruit trees, you need to get as much sunlight as it can. So by covering it, you're just gonna get less fruit here. So I'm actually gonna remove this whole entire branch. Whoop. Now these, you can't really propagate it by planting a branch. It has a very low success rate. You can air layer it, but actually one tree is like enough for a family. So I don't really need to air layer this. I'm gonna just chop and drop this back to the mother plant. So this branch here, I will end up cutting it just because it is growing over my calamansi. I'm gonna get the fruit first. Now some other branches you can see are tangling with each other, and this can actually cause a rot. So I don't need to cut the whole branch off, but where this branch is meeting this branch, I will make a cut. Maybe just here. Just to increase the airflow and stop it from rotting. And looking for more branches that are touching. So this is all right for now. But this is something you need to maintain and keep an eye on. Again, I'll cut this after I get the fruit. And same with this one. I'll end up chopping this down after I get the fruit. That's how you prune different types of trees to get the maximum fruit growth. How you can redirect nutrients back into fruit and into the roots and other parts of the tree. The guava tree requires a lot of pruning. The jackfruit requires very little pruning. You just cut the top only, just to get it from growing too tall so that you can harvest it when it does make fruit. Mulberry, you do want to prune it after every, at the end of every fruiting, just to make more fruit so you get the maximum yield. Mulberry tree, I actually got about six harvests within a year by doing it with this method. So in the next episode, I'm actually going to take these mulberry branches as well as the moringa branches that I just cut. I'm going to propagate them, the whole branch into the ground and create new trees. But there's a specific way that you really have to do it to make it work. So make sure you watch our next episode. So thank you for watching Garden Logic TV, where we grow smarter every day. I will see you in the next episode.